Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to Robert Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. The continuation of my NASCAR series videos here. Obviously, 3 videos up here pretty quick, 3 different themes to them. Wanted to get them up before the last minute here, but really wanted to get them up. This video is my top 7 Daytona 500 moments. If you're not a NASCAR fan, I would tell you the Daytona 500 is the Super Bowl of stock car racing. They have the speed weeks in Daytona, which is typically the middle 2 weeks in February. You have, all off season to prepare for this race. You have weeks of days and days of practice for the Daytona 500. You have, a Sprint Unlimited race, which is all the pole setters from last year among anybody who's ever won the Sprint Unlimited who qualify for this event. It's kind of a no points, no tomorrow type of let it hang out, do what you got to do to win. You have a special car for that race, not your Daytona 500 car. The Thursday before the Daytona 500, you have the Gatorade Duels, which is basically the qualifying race for the Daytona 500. You have the pole qualifying, which is coming this Sunday. So there's a lot of things going on in the week of Daytona. Obviously Thursday you have the Gatorade Duels. Friday you have the Truck Series race. Saturday you have the Affinity Series race, formerly known as the Busch Series, Nationwide Series. And then Sunday you have, week from this coming Sunday, you have the Daytona 500. So I went through, of all the Daytona 500s I've watched, my 7 top moments. Number 7, the 2011 Daytona 500, when Trevor Bayne, who's second and third race in NASCAR, he won it driving for the famous Wood brothers, number 21. Glenn and Eddie Wood. Hall of Famers. Hall of Fame race team. One of the oldest teams in NASCAR history. Runs a partial schedule every year. They just kind of get a upstart driver to drive for them. They won the granddaddy of them all races. The 2011 Daytona 500 with Trevor Bayne. Number 6 on my list, the 1997 Daytona 500 won by Jeff Gordon, his first of 3 Daytona 500 victories. Watching his career, the pinnacle of it here, come to Daytona, he already won in Indy, he already won at Charlotte, winning, the third of the 4, crown jewel event, Daytona 500. Jeff Gordon in 1997 winning his first Daytona 500. My number 5 has a 5A and a 5B to it. Both of them are very unique. Both of them are Hall of Fame drivers with Hall of Fame resumes, legends in NASCAR, waiting so many years to finally win the Great American Race. 5B was the 1987 Daytona 500, won by Darrell Waltrip. 17 years of trying, driving a car number 17. His daughter was 17 months old, and he won the Daytona 500. I just remember he did the icky shuffle in the victory lane and threw his helmet down and looked at Bob Jenkins and said, "I just won the Daytona 500. Please tell me this is the Daytona 500." It was just the amazing moment after all those years of trying. My 5A to that, after 21 years of trying, the 1998 Daytona 500 won by the late Dale Earnhardt. No driver had so many victories at Daytona in the Bud Shootout, in the Dual 150s, in the July 4th race, in the Busch Series than Dale Earnhardt. He won every race there was to win at Daytona except for the 500. He lost the Daytona 500 multiple times in turn 4. Finally, in 1998, Dale Earnhardt, for 21 years of trying, won the Daytona 500. So that's why I had to do the 5A, 5B, because of these 2 legendary drivers. After Darrell Waltrip won his in 87, not only was Darrell and Dale friends at the end, they were rivals for the longest time. And they would joke back and forth. Darrell would say, "Hey, hey Dale, we sitting here in rocking chairs on top of the haulers, going, so Dale, Dale say something about all the championships. So Dale's talking about all his championships, and Daryl was like, "But Dale, I won the Daytona 500 and you didn't." So it was always a joke with them too. And then when Dale finally won his, Daryl was announcing it, DW, and it was a pretty fitting moment. The 1988 Daytona 500, won by Bobby Allison, and his son Davey finished second. The first time a father and son had ever finished 1-2 in the Daytona 500. Very epic moment. I was a Bobby Allison fan at the time, and this is Davey's second year in NASCAR. So it was a very fitting moment, and Davey went on to win the 92 Daytona 500. Number 3 on my list was one of the most heartbreaking moments for Dale Earnhardt at Daytona, the 1990 Daytona 500 won by Derek Cope in the number 10 Purelator car. Dale had the class of the field that day. He did everything right to win that race. In turn 4, had his tire go down in the last corner of the race to lose the race, and he finished 5th. Number 2 on my list, the 1997 Daytona 500. Another Dale Earnhardt moment. On lap 175 of 200, Dale gets involved in an accident. He ends up flipping down the backstretch. Over. The car leans on all 4 wheels. The safety guys get over there. Dale's out of the car. Dale climbs. NASCAR's rule is if you flip it over, you go to the care center no matter what. You roll it, you go to the hospital. Dale's sitting in the ambulance, and the tow truck driver is hooking it up. He hollered at the corner worker, "Hey, see if it'll start. See if it turns over." He reached in, it fired right off. Dale said, "Guys, I'm gone." Dale jumps out of the ambulance, jumps in his car that had just rolled, and drives around the pit road. Obviously, the trunk was coming off, the hood was off. NASCAR told him to pull behind the wall and do some work to it first. But yeah, Dale jumps out of the ambulance, jumps in the car, and takes off. One of my favorite moments in Daytona 500 history was the 1993 Daytona 500, the first for Jeff Gordon. That year, Jeff Gordon was a rookie. This was his second ever NASCAR race. The qualifying race for Daytona, the Gatorade Duels, Budweiser, whatever you want to call them, they've been Gatorade 125s, Gatorade Duels. They, back then it was called the Gatorade Duels, the 125 qualifying race, twin 125 qualifier. Jeff Gordon wins his qualifying race, which means he started 3rd in the Daytona 500. His very first lap of the Daytona 500, he drops into the inside and passes the pole setter and leads the first lap of his first Daytona 500. I just thought that for a rookie to do that, and then won the dual race as a rookie, come back in the next year and won the Busch Clash Bud Shootout, and eventually being a 3-time Daytona 500 champion. Well, for all you NASCAR fans, there's one moment in Daytona 500 history that every fan out there remembers. 2001, Daytona 500. Michael Waltrip, driving for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, won his very first race, followed by teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. And a 15 Napa, followed by the number 8 Budweiser. You had Dale Earnhardt Incorporated go 1-2. The first time that team ever finished 1-2 in a race. Unfortunately, we all know what happened after that. Dale Earnhardt was killed in the turn 4 accident. He was trying to block for his 2 team cars he owned. Sterling and got into him a little bit. Dale came down, Sterling came up, they touched. Dale turned straight into the wall, and Dale Earnhardt was killed. Obviously, that's back in the day of the VCR. I had to work that day, so I set my VCR to tape the race. I go home sick from work that day. Was laying in bed, took a nap, got up, started watching the race. On videotape, mind you. My fiance calls me, so I pause it. We're talking. She said, 16 years later, still not, or 15 years later, still not a NASCAR fan. But she watched 2001 Daytona 500, the first race she ever watched. I believe it's the only race she ever watched. And we all know why. She calls me. She says, I watched the race today. Really? Don't tell me who wins. I haven't watched it in the process of watching it. Okay. She's like, there was a real bad accident in the last lap. Oh, really? I will tell you who's involved. Okay. Now, there seemed to always be the big one at Daytona, so that's probably what it was. She said, I don't know if the driver's okay or not. Okay. I'll watch it and see, and I'll let you know. Remember the VCRs, how they like to go off? Well, the VCR goes off while I'm on the phone. Live TV comes up. The live TV came out right when Mike Helton walked up to the podium and uttered them famous words, "We have lost, Dale Earnhardt." My first reaction was, oh my fucking god. My wife hates the F word. What's your language? Hang on a second. I had to hear this. Just hearing Mike Helton utter them words, "We have lost Dale Earnhardt," was unbelievable. Obviously, I go back and watch that race to see the accident. It wasn't that bad of an accident. It's just, probably one of the saddest moments in Daytona 500 history in NASCAR. The legend, the 7-time champion. The guy who, you never thought anything could happen to was killed. Of all the drivers ever that actually die in a NASCAR stick-up car, it was always the, unfortunately not the big name in the sports, It was the Adam Pettys and the Clifford Allisons and the Neil Bonnet and Kenny Irwin Jr. and J.D. McDuffie and Rodney Combs and Tony Roper and Truck Series. It was always the not so well, it was a small teams that maybe had inferior equipment. This was Richard Childress Racing. This is one of the best teams in NASCAR. It could happen anywhere, anyone, anytime. Obviously, being such a momentum moment, I wasn't going to put it as one of my, because it doesn't deserve to be on a list. It deserves to be something by itself. Obviously in 2003, Michael Waltrip came back and won his second Daytona 500, and Dale Jr. finished second. Dale Jr. was able to come back that July and win the July 4th race, and Mikey finished in second. Turn 4 at Daytona means a lot to a lot of people. That corner took a lot away from Dale Earnhardt, and it took Dale Earnhardt away from us.